Chapter 1, Section 3, starting at page 21. Government and the people. The need for government. Main idea. The different levels of government provide many different services. A government is the ruling authority for a community or society. Any organization that has the power to make and enforce or carry out laws and decisions for its members acts as a government. For hundreds of years, people have formed governments. The earliest Native Americans had tribal councils. Thomas Hobbes, an English political thinker during the 1600s, believed that without government, life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. If each of us could do just as he or she pleased, fighting probably would be common, and survival would depend on strength and skill. Think about trying to play basketball with no rules or referees. The game would probably be a chaotic free-for-all. Similarly, if there were no government to make and enforce laws, we would live in a state of confusion, violence, and fear. Government can make it possible for people to live together peacefully and productively. What governments do. The most important purpose of a government is to provide laws or rules of conduct. These laws help prevent conflicts between individuals, groups, or nations and help settle any conflicts that do occur. Page 22. Keep order. Conflicts are unavoidable when people live together in a community. Governments make laws to help prevent conflicts and to settle those conflicts that do arise. Governments have the power to enforce the laws. For example, to make sure that drivers obey traffic regulations, police officers are empowered to ticket or arrest violators. Courts decide whether these accused of crimes are guilty and how they should be punished if found guilty. Provide security. Along with the need for law and order come concerns about community security, defending citizens and their land from enemies. For this reason, governments set up armed forces and agencies that watch for likely sources of trouble. Provide public services. Governments provide many services that would not be available otherwise. Governments create and manage libraries, schools, hospitals, parks, and recreation centers. Government workers build and repair streets, erect bridges, collect garbage, and deliver the mail. Many government services are aimed at keeping the public healthy and safe. Local communities set up fire departments and ambulance services, state licensed drivers, and doctors. Other government agencies protect us from dangerous medicines and spoiled food. Government inspectors check for safety problems in everything from factories to amusement park rides. Governments also give help to needy people. For example, in each of the 50 states, poor families and people who are out of work can receive food, aid, or cash. Government agencies also supply affordable housing, healthcare, job training, and special programs for people with disabilities. Guide the community. Another function of government is to formulate public policy or a course of government action to achieve community goals. When government leaders decide they want to protect consumers, for example, or strengthen national security, they are setting public policy goals. When they pass laws or develop guidelines to reach these goals, they are making public policy. Most public policy decisions involve financial planning. Governments have limited amounts of money and they must use it wisely. Creating a budget or a plan for collecting and spending money is key to the success of the community. Another part of guiding the community is developing relations with the community's neighbors and other outsiders. Governments often take responsibility for communicating and cooperating with other governments on matters of trade, travel, and military agreements for the benefit of their citizens. Levels of government. Many levels of government exist, each representing a particular collection of people. Each of the 50 states has its own government. So do most counties, cities, and towns. The students in your school may have their own student government. National government. Although each of the above is a government, when most people talk about the government, they are talking about the national government, the government of an entire country. In the United States, the national government is made up of 3 branches of government. Those branches are the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches. A national government is different from other levels of government in 2 important ways. First, A national government has the highest level of authority over its citizens. A city or state government cannot make any laws that would go against the laws of the national government. The national government, however, has the power to make whatever laws it feels would benefit the country. Second, a national government provides the basic framework for citizenship. State and local government. The national government makes and enforces laws for the entire country. Each state decides matters for the people in that state. The level of government closest to Americans is local government. Local government includes counties, cities, and towns. Your school may have a student government, and if you choose to belong to a club like Girl Scouts or 4-H, you respect that organization's governing body too. However, state and local governments, as well as governments of organizations, cannot take actions that go against the laws and authority of the national government. Types of government. Main idea. The people are the ultimate rulers of democratic countries, while in totalitarian states, a single person or small group holds all the power. Did you know that there is more than one type of democracy? Read to find out more about other kinds of democracies. Democratic government. The foundations of democracy are more than 2,500 years old. Democracy began in the ancient Greek city of Athens. Athens had a direct democracy. All the citizens met to debate government matters and vote firsthand. Direct democracy is not practical for most countries today because of their large areas and populations. What is a republic? Many countries have a representative democracy instead. The citizens choose a smaller group to represent them, make laws, and govern on their behalf. For most Americans today, the terms representative democracy, republic, and constitutional republic mean the same thing. A system of limited government in which the people are the ultimate source of governmental power. The United States is the oldest representative democracy in the world. Constitutional monarchy. Another kind of democracy is the constitutional monarchy. The word monarchy describes a government with a hereditary ruler, a king, queen, or other royal figure who inherits the position of power. In most countries with monarchs, the power of the hereditary ruler is limited by the country's constitution and laws. Modern constitutional monarchies generally follow democratic practices. The monarchs are heads of state only, presiding at the ceremonies and serving as symbols of unity. The Queen of Great Britain and the Emperor of Japan are two examples of constitutional monarchs. Democratic principles. Abraham Lincoln described our democracy as a government of the people, by the people, for the people. His words make three important points. First, the power of the government comes from the citizens. Second, Americans themselves, acting through their representatives, run their government. Third, the purpose of the government is to make the United States a better place for those who live here. Voting in democracy. All genuine democracies have free, fair, and competitive elections. Everyone's vote must carry the same weight. This principle is often expressed in the phrase, one person, one vote. All candidates have the right to express their views freely to the public, and citizens are free to support any candidate or issue. The legal requirements for voting must be kept to a minimum. For example, our voting laws center on age, residence, and citizenship, while other factors such as wealth, race, and ethnic and religious background cannot be used to restrict voting. Finally, citizens may vote freely by secret ballot without fearing punishment for their voting decisions. Voters have choices. Competitive elections and competing political parties are an important element in democracies. A political party is a group of individuals with broad common interests who organize to support candidates for office and determine public policy. Competing political parties give voters a choice among candidates. Also, parties out of power serve as watchdogs of parties in power. Majority rule. Another principle of our democracy is majority rule. French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau promoted this idea in the late 1700s. According to this principle, citizens agree that when differences of opinion arise, they will abide by what most people want. At the same time, they respect the rights of those in the minority. Respect for minority rights is sometimes difficult, though, especially if society is under a great deal of stress. For example, after the terrorist attacks of 2001, President George W. Bush realized that many Americans might turn their anger against Muslims in the United States. He explained that Islam is a peaceful religion and urged Americans to treat Muslim Americans fairly. Authoritarian government. In democratic regimes, the people rule. In authoritarian regimes, people is held by an individual or a group not accountable to the people. Absolute monarchy.